Let me ask you something. What do you think is the nervous system of our modern world? It's not satellites, it's not fiber optic cables. Nope. It's that little green icon on your phone, WhatsApp. It's become this central, almost invisible part of daily life for billions of us.
I mean, just think about this number for a second. Every single day, we send over 100 billion messages on WhatsApp. That is a staggering number. It's like every single person on Earth sending more than a dozen messages every single day. We use it for everything, from waking up to saying goodnight. But here's the big question, the one that really matters, right? Behind that promise of privacy, what's the real story of WhatsApp? And I guess more importantly, can we actually trust it with our secrets anymore? Let's get into it.
You see, to really understand WhatsApp, you can't just look at the code. You have to go back to the beginning, to its founder, Jan Koum. Because this app wasn't just built on a good idea, it was built on a really deep-seated fear.
I want you to imagine for a second, growing up where you just assume the government is listening to your phone calls. Where true privacy, that's just a dangerous fantasy. That sounds like a dystopian novel, right? But it wasn't. It was Jan Koum's actual childhood. There was this common saying back then, the walls have ears. And it wasn't just some old proverb. It was a daily reality that you had to live by. And that environment, it forged this lifelong obsession in Koum to create a way for people to talk where no one, and I mean no one, could listen in. So picture this. At 16, he and his mom escaped to California with pretty much nothing. They lived on food stamps. Koum was sweeping the floor of a grocery store just to help make ends meet. But this kid just devoured used programming books, taught himself to code, and somehow he ends up landing a job at Yahoo. It's a total rags to riches story. Now, it was at Yahoo where Koum and his future co-founder, Brian Acton, really started getting fed up. They watched as big tech became these giant machines designed for one thing, sucking up user data to sell to advertisers. They hated it. So they left. And they came up with a new mantra. This was their guiding star. They actually wrote it on a note and pinned it up in their little office as a constant reminder of what they were building against. For them, ads weren't just an annoyance. They were a violation of pure, simple communication. And this really gets to the heart of what made them so different. You know, with companies like Facebook or Google, the deal is the service is free because you are the product they're selling. WhatsApp completely flipped that on its head. They charged $1 a year. It's a small thing, but it meant you were the customer. Their job was to serve you, not sell you. So how'd they guarantee privacy? Well, they had a secret weapon, and it came straight out of Koum's childhood fears: end-to-end encryption. The best way to think about it is like this. You write a message, you stick it in a locked box, and you send it. The only person on the entire planet who has the key to open that box is the person you sent it to. Not WhatsApp, not the government, nobody. And well, people absolutely loved this idea. The promise of real privacy was like a magnet. The app just exploded. We're talking 1 million new users a day. And when you're growing that fast, you definitely get noticed, especially by people like Mark Zuckerberg. And then, in 2014, the world woke up to this bombshell of a headline. Facebook was buying WhatsApp for $19 billion. The number was so huge, so astronomical, everyone thought it had to be a typo. To put that into perspective for you, $19 billion was more than NASA's entire annual budget. It was more than the GDP of countries like Iceland. See, Zuckerberg wasn't just buying an app. He was buying a global communications network. And maybe more importantly, he was making sure Google couldn't get it first. But here's where the story gets really incredible. This signing of the deal. Koum didn't go to some fancy high-rise law firm. No, he drove back to that same unassuming social services building where he and his mom used to wait in line for food stamps. And he leaned against that very door and signed the papers that made him a billionaire. Just wow. So Zuckerberg promised them, hey, don't worry, WhatsApp will stand independent. Your whole philosophy of privacy and no ads, that's safe. But, it's like mixing oil and water. It was only a matter of time before a massive conflict started brewing. And it all came down to one thing: making money. Facebook, which we now know as Meta, wanted to connect your WhatsApp phone number to your Facebook and Instagram accounts. Why? So they could build this mega profile of you for ad targeting. And for the founders, this was the ultimate betrayal. It was everything they stood against. Eventually, the fight just became unbearable.
In 2017, Brian Acton walked away, leaving $850 million in stock on the table. A year later, Jen Koum did the same, leaving behind close to $1 billion. I mean, think about that. They gave up literal fortunes because they wouldn't compromise their principles. And then, a few months after leaving, right in the middle of that huge Cambridge Analytica scandal, Brian Acton posted this tweet. Just 5 simple words. It is time. #delete Facebook. That was it. The co-founder of Facebook's biggest purchase was telling the world to ditch Facebook. It was a huge statement. Okay, so that brings us to today. The founders are long gone, WhatsApp is in a totally new era, and a brand new controversy has popped up, one that challenges the single promise that was supposed to be untouchable, that absolute, unbreakable encryption. Earlier this year, some pretty explosive reports started to surface. They claimed federal authorities were investigating allegations from former Meta employees. And what were these insiders saying? That Meta has a secret system, basically a backdoor, that lets them get in and read supposedly encrypted WhatsApp messages. Now, Meta denies this, and they deny it fiercely. Their official story is that they can only see messages if a user reports them. So if you flag a chat, the last few messages get sent to their servers. Then a special team uses a key to decrypt and review only those messages, to look for criminal activity or abuse. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Critics and security experts are saying, wait a minute, if the company has the technical ability to decrypt any message for any reason, doesn't that mean the encryption isn't absolute? Doesn't that mean a backdoor exists? Who's to say that power couldn't be abused down the line? And that right there, that's the great WhatsApp paradox we're all living with. You have a service built from the ground up on a promise of absolute privacy that is now owned by an empire built on the absolute opposite, data collection. Every new feature, like WhatsApp Business, feels like it chips away at that original promise. The real currency at stake here isn't money, it's our trust. So we've come full circle. The story that started with a kid in the Soviet Union terrified of being spied on has led us all here. We all use that little green app to share everything, our deepest secrets, our biggest news, our silliest thoughts. But the question we have to ask ourselves now is, as it sits inside the world's biggest data empire, who are we really talking to?